Sanjay Verma, who has dropped a bombshell with all of his remarks that he's saying, and he's talked about how he feels so betrayed and how Canada backstabbed India in the ongoing investigation. He even talks about how Khalistani elements are deep assets for the Canadian Intelligence Agency. Not just that, he speaks about how the K factor thrives on Canadian soil, how the weak laws in Canada in fact enables them to exercise their clout as well. So that's the latest coming in right now from Sanjay Verma, who didn't mince any words, calling Canada's move a betrayal. He tore into Trudeau government, accusing them of sheltering Khalistani terrorists, gun runners and even human traffickers. In fact, he's called Canada's actions the lowest point in bilateral ties, slamming their approach as deeply unprofessional. And India has outrightly rejected the baseless claims of its involvement in Hardeep Singh Nijjar's killings, with Canada failing to provide any hard evidentiary evidence about their allegations against India.
It was a shocker, certainly, and I was told about it verbally, and then a note was given to me, which then I sent back to Delhi, and the Delhi decided that all of us should be withdrawn from there. And thereafter, a day later, they also declared us persona non grata. So yes, it was a mixed feeling. It was sad that they did it, and it was also sad that there were other tools available they could have used to resolve the issue.
Mr. Verma, you've served the country well for 35 years now. You have, I think, about a year's service, maybe a little less than
about
a year.
Nine months.
Yeah, about less than a year's service left. This is the biggest challenge that you have endured in your career. This is the biggest Agni Pariksha, if I can use that phrase.
It was an Agni Pariksha, undoubtedly. It was an interesting time. As a diplomat, we take things positively, and we also always try to find fun in pain.
What is the one lesson you've learned from this episode? Personally, I mean.
Personally, that never take things for granted.
Never take things for granted. This is as much true for diplomacy as it is for one's own life.
And that's not it. In this exclusive interview, you've just heard an excerpt of that. The diplomat Sanjay Verma also says how India has sent about 26 extradition requests to Canada, and only 4, in fact, have been accepted. So far, the others, they've been a long pending, a long wait for over a decade. Not just that, he even has criticized Canada's Royal Canadian Mounted Police, pointing out the irony of removing Goldie Brar from the list while accusing India of leveraging the Bishnoi gang members. Listen in.
Over the last 20 years or so, India has made, I think, about 24 extradition requests to Canada. Can you shed some light on what is the nature of these requests? Who are these individuals against whom these requests, and have any of these actually materialized?
So, as per the latest figure, I think it is 26.
Okay.
And 4 or 5 have been acted upon.
Okay. Any of them Khalistani, suspected Khalistani elements? Would you know a number?
I would avoid giving the number and the names, because it's a process.
Fair enough.
And others are still awaiting discussions and disposal. The difficulty is that some of them are lying there for 10 years. So if there is intent to resolve it, then certainly it can be done. And those discussions, through such discussions, we can see those cases resolved, the justice done, and the crime that they have committed, they are punished for that crime.
Is one of the individuals against whom an extradition request is pending is Goldie Brar?
Yes, that's right.
So explain this to me, Ambassador. Goldie Brar is wanted for a number of crimes, including the murder of Sidhu Moosewala, the famous Punjabi singer. And the RCMP commissioner the other day said that the Indian government agents are using elements from Lawrence Bishnoi's gang. How does this work? This Goldie Brar is supposedly the number 2 in Lawrence Bishnoi's gang, and against whom an extradition request is pending, and those same people are being used by the government of India.
Not only that, let me add to that. Goldie Brar was on the most wanted list by the BOLO, which is a civic organization, works with the law and order authorities. and all of a sudden his name is missing.
He's no longer in the
Wanted list. So how do I explain this? So we have said that we need this person because of the crimes that he committed in India, or he has made the crimes being committed in India. Then, on our hint, he was put in the most wanted list, and all of a sudden, he disappears.
and there's been no
And he is
intimation.
a Canadian citizen.
No intimation to the
No intimation to us.
to the Indian authorities.
Absolutely. So what do I read? I only read that there is some reason why you don't want him to be exposed.
So when the RCMP says Government of India is engaging Bishnoi and Bishnoi gang members, and the number 2 man is suddenly off the extradition list, what does that signal?
I would say bad intel and probably poor analysis of the.
Is it also bad faith?
It's distrustful, not only bad faith. It's distrustful. Or when we are giving you the information, our agencies gave them the information on Goldie Bra. And today you are saying that you know more than Goldie Bra than we do for the crimes that he has done in India. That's laughable.
So India sends an extradition request. Canada says we are perusing the matter, and then a few months later, mysteriously, his name disappears from the most wanted list.
And again, just for your viewers, this most wanted list is not compiled by the government authorities. This is by a civic organization which works with law and order authorities.
Straight across now to Siddhant for more on this. Siddhant, the diplomat dropping a bombshell there by stating and, unequivocally saying how these Khalistani elements are prized assets for the Canadian intelligence agency, and how this K-terror continues to thrive on Canadian soil, and how it has shockingly and alarmingly penetrated into every system of the Canadian government.
Well, this perhaps reflect upon the way Mr. Trudeau is running the government. And
Yes.
in fact, one thing is very important, which Mr. Verma highlighted, that there are some certain elements with the Khalistani separatist ideology. They are very much the part of the Trudeau government. They are into executive and government doesn't have any such screening not to allow them to be the part of the government or work for the government. One such case is Sandeep Singh Sidhu, who is the killer of Balwant Singh, the Shaurya awardee in Punjab, and perhaps he's working for Canada border authorities. Now, this perhaps exposes that Mr. Trudeau is not just in connivance with the Khalistani. Perhaps he's giving shelter, and there should be a screening within the government before appointing any government employee. But there is no as such a screening or a procedure in the government of Canada. Second, and the most important point he made is that the kind of good picture of Canada that is usually projected in India. The situation is not like that on ground. There are so many students, those who go to Canada, and then they get disappointed after reaching there, because they have issues in their colleges. The cost of living is so high, and most of them are frustrated, and they end up killing themselves. And there have been multiple such occasions where the dead bodies had been sent by the Indian side back to the country. So it's very important to understand the way Canada is functioning, perhaps in last 9 years under Mr. Trudeau's regime, and that is exactly what Mr. Verma has been talking about in all the interviews that he has given, that this is a different Canada. The people are beautiful, it's a beautiful country, but it is the government. There is a major mistrust within the government, and perhaps that is the reason that Khalistanis are being sheltered, no action being taken. Exactly, the Goldie Bra was taken off the list of RCMP. RCMP has also become a political tool, etc., etc. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, Siddhant, absolutely. Thanks so much. And the diplomat also evidently very disappointed with the turn of events, himself also saying how he felt betrayed by his own Canadian colleagues. Not just that, that kind of disappointment is not just with Ambassador Sanjay Verma, who has made all of these statements, but even the former Chief Minister of Punjab, Captain Amrinder Singh, who has slammed Justin Trudeau for spoiling, for damaging India-Canadian relationships, for vote bank politics. In fact, he has said that Justin Trudeau doesn't care, and he's doing all of this only to suit his own domestic audience, to suit his own political domestic lobby as well. Listen in.
निज्जर कत्ल मामले में कनाडा लगातार भारत पर आरोप लगा रहा है, उसके बाद आपने पूरा वो इश्यू देखा। इसके पीछे आपको लगता क्या है कि जस्टिन ट्रूडो अगले साल चुनाव हैं, वो इसलिए ऐसा कर रहे हैं?
जस्टिन ट्रूडो ये कर रहा है टोटली अपने पॉलिटिकल इंटरेस्ट में। वो उसको परवाह नहीं कि यहाँ हिंदुस्तान के साथ चाइना उसके कनाडा का क्या रिलेशनशिप हो, वो तो इलेक्शन जीतना चाहता है, दैट इज ऑल। एंड मैंने जब इसका डिफेंस मिनिस्टर आया था सज्जन हरजीत सिंह कुछ सज्जन, मैंने कहा था मैं नहीं मिलूंगा उसको, क्योंकि वो वर्ल्ड सिख ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का मेंबर है, उसके फादर उसके प्रधान है, और वो सब चाहते हैं ये वक्फवादी का जो प्रोग्राम चल रहा है यहाँ। तो मैंने कहा मैं नहीं मिलूंगा, और नहीं मिला बस। फिर जब ट्रूडो आया, फिर इसने पंजाब आना था, और पंजाब उन्होंने कहता मैं चीफ मिनिस्टर को नहीं मिलूंगा। तो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने कहा कि अगर चीफ मिनिस्टर को नहीं बनेगा फिर आप पंजाब नहीं जा सकते। फिर उसको मिलना पड़ा मुझे अमृतसर में। माई पॉइंट ऑफ सेइंग इट इज, ये सारी बातें पॉलिटिक्स की हैं। उसको इंटरेस्ट नहीं अपने मुल्क के और हिंदुस्तान के संबंध अच्छे रहें, वो तो सिर्फ चाहता है कि मैं किसी न किसी तरह जीतूं। दैट इज उसका इंटरेस्ट, और उसके साथ वो लगा हुआ है, वो चाहे बाहर से नहीं लगा पर अंदर से वो गुरप्रवंत सिंह पन्नू, वो भी इतना ऐसा ही खराब आदमी है, एंटी इंडियन बातें करता है।
You see, the Indian High Commissioner, who has recently returned from Canada on account of the unacceptable behavior of the Canadian government, calling him as a person of interest, has been talking about the exact challenges that have faced him and the India's interests. The way the Khalistani system, supported by Trudeau government, has percolated in the Canadian society, and I think that the Canadian government has an eye-opening now time. There's still time is there, and they might as well try to change the course and do the course correction.
And big breaking news coming in amid the India-Canada diplomatic showdown. The news is that Canada has refused to share the death certificate of the Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar with the National Investigating Agency. So that's the news coming in right now. This refusal from the Canadian government that they would not be sharing the death certificate right now of Nijjar with the National Investigating Agencies. One only wonders how India is going to be responding to this bit of news, because you've already seen how Justin Trudeau, in his very big admission, had said that they do not have the proof but only intelligence inputs against India on the killing of the Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. And now the Canadian government has refused to share the death certificate with the National Investigating Agency of the Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. This perhaps could just further escalate the ongoing diplomatic row between the two nations. Remember, Justin Trudeau had earlier said that there wasn't any hard evidentiary proof against India. And now they are refusing to share the death certificate of the Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar, which could escalate the ongoing diplomatic row. Arnima joins us for more on this. Arnima, have they given any reason as to why will they not be sharing the death certificate of Hardeep Singh Nijjar with the NIA?
So they've come back with a query, with a counter query, saying why is this death certificate required? So that is being interpreted by the establishment here in South Block and North Block as yet another attempt by the Canadian authorities to not cooperate with India's concern. We have been seeing the row that has broken out. Nijjar is at the center of it all, and therefore it appears that Canadian government is not willing to share even genuine documents and genuine evidence that is being sought by India. We have heard from the expelled Indian diplomats in Canada how he was also not given first-hand information by the authorities there. So what we are hearing from NIA also is that when they genuinely ask for that death certificate, because there are charge sheets to be filed against Nijjar, and the law of India requires that the death certificate be presented in the court of law. But the Canadian authorities have refused to share that death certificate.
Right, Arunima, thank you so much for joining us and telling us more. So the Canadian government has refused to share the death certificate of Nijar with the NIA. In fact, just a day after the recalled envoy Sanjay Verma has made that stinging attack on the Canadian government and how he was absolutely betrayed and shocked with the allegations of persons of interest by the Canadian government. CNN News 18 has done this exhaustive News 18 Network Plus survey on India's verdict on Canada, the kind of relationship that has nosedived between India and Canada and what the people think about the present status between both the nations. And this is what we found out from the respondents.
The News 18 Pulse survey, India's verdict on Canada. How do you regard Canada as a country? Only 1/3 of the respondents believe Canada is a friendly nation. 2/3 of the respondents believe it's unfriendly or they are not able to decide where Canada stands as of now. Question number 2. Let's try and understand. The question that was posed to our respondents, 2,436 respondents overall after the filtering. 86% agree with Bharat's decision to expel Canadian diplomats. 7% disagree, 7% have no opinion to offer. Question number 3. Do you believe Canada is turning a blind eye to Khalistan extremists? 86% of the respondents, yes, say yes, they believe Canada is turning a blind eye to Khalistani extremists. 7% say no. And the 4th question. Trudeau claims India is not cooperating in the investigation into Nijar's killing. India says Canada is not showing proof. Who do you believe? 96% of the respondents believe Bharat's version. Only 4% are inclined to even think about or consider believing what Justin Trudeau and his government are claiming.
Well, Canada has been a very popular destination for India. You have a large number of Indian students who prefer Canada as their destination to study further. But let's just take a look at some of the big key takeaways from the survey that we have conducted amongst people from various states in the country, that there has been a significant shift in the way Indians have started to perceive Canada amidst the ongoing row between India and Canada and all these allegations that the Canadians have been leveling against our nation. A large majority of the respondents in fact they support India's move to expel Canadian diplomats, and that's a very important one coming in there. An overwhelming majority believe that Canada is ignoring the K-extremists and how, the Khalistani elements who have been spewing venom, who are asking, who have been, encouraging terror attacks on Indian soil, are actually being sheltered on Canadian soil. A whopping 96% of the respondents believe India's version that Canada hasn't shared proof, but this is something also that has been admitted by the Canadian Prime Minister himself, that they themselves don't have enough evidence or hard evidentiary proof, as Mr. Trudeau said, against India, alleging that India had a hand in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. So this clearly vindicates India's stand all along, and we've just received breaking news how they've even refused to share the death certificate of Hardeep Singh Nijjar with the investigating agencies of India. We have a couple of reactions also coming in. Let's just play them out.
No, the same people who Justin Trudeau has shared platform with not so long ago are currently busy trying to hail and celebrate Talvinder Parmar, a terrorist on Canadian soil itself. Now, that's also being condoned. The other aspect, Adit, you live in the UK. The instances of cyberbullying, the instances of body shaming, socially trying to malign the character and image of the daughters, wives of those people or those individuals who stood up to these Khalistani goons and extremists in the UK and also in Canada is known to everybody. So how is it that the Five Eyes are blind to all of this? And how is it that someone like an Eric Garcetti says there is a difference between verbal and real and tries to justify all of this? Will he tolerate some of this being done with American envoys? Will America tolerate this if this was being done with Justin Trudeau? Did not tolerate anything being said against him with a journalist in Canada. So where is the verbal and real differentiation there? And does that reflect in the survey now? The first question.
Anand, if hypocrisy and double standards had a face, then, that face would have been Eric Garcetti. It's surprising for him to say that, we act on terrorism activities but not words. And you know, this takes us back to a case called Riddhi Patel. We all may remember that she basically threatened a sitting mayor about killing them, but basically on the pretext that there was no action being taken on the plight of the Palestinians, and that woman was basically given 18 counts of felony, and today she's still fighting those cases, crying in the court of law. So here is a clear case of double standards where Pannu is making those clear terrorist threats of taking down Air India, airlines. He's painted a target behind the envoy, the Indian envoy to Canada's back. And despite that, they've flouted the basic Vienna Convention, which basically says that the ambassador, the High Commission, or the commissioner of a foreign country must be provided with the highest form of security and just not respect. We've heard Sanjay Kumar Verma say that how close some of the kirpan and some of the swords were to taking him out. He mentioned that they were only a few feet away from him, and that shows that Canada or the US in this case are completely blind spotted, either willingly or unwillingly, to India's question about the foreign interferences that these nations are
Interesting,
basically
you say
causing in Indian
either willingly or unwillingly, or wittingly or unwittingly. Professor Brahmachalani, are you surprised, or do you believe this is perhaps just reflecting the mood of the nation? This first question, where nearly 1/3 of the respondents believe Canada still remains a friendly nation, but nearly 2/3 of the respondents are oscillating between unfriendly or not sure, neither friendly nor unfriendly.
This should come as a wake-up call for the Trudeau government, because for decades, Canada and India have had a very friendly relationship. They've had no strategic divergences, and therefore, given what your survey shows, and given the negative attitude towards Canada now, the vast majority of Indians that your organization has surveyed have now a negative attitude towards Canada. And that really attests to the manner in which the Trudeau government has systematically undermined Canada's traditionally friendly relations with India. And we shouldn't be surprised by this negative attitude that is growing in India towards Canada, because look at what has happened over the last just couple of years, that Canada-based Khalistani extremists have offered cash rewards for providing home addresses of Canada-based Indian diplomats who have been labeled killers. They have held referenda in Canada on the secession of India's Punjab state. They have erected billboards, public billboards, advocating the killing of Indian diplomats who have been identified with photos. They have threatened attacks on the Indian Parliament and the New Delhi airport. They have staged parade floats, not one, not twice, but at least 3 times since last year in British Columbia, as well as in Brampton, Ontario, which is a suburb, a town near Toronto. Parade floats on which the 1984 assassination of Indira Gandhi was reenacted. Yes. And they have mounted attacks on Indian diplomatic missions in Canada. All that has been happening under the tolerant watch of the Trudeau government. Now, how can any civilized country in the world tolerate and in fact condone such terrorist activities? And I think given what has happened, we shouldn't be surprised by what your survey shows.
Okay, so the Indian government and also so many experts calling out Canada's hypocrisy and its double standards, and how its actions are clearly in violation of the Vienna Convention, especially in dealing with foreign diplomats. With that, it's time for us to take a very short break. Stay tuned. I'll be back with lots more right here on Nation at 5.
विचार
Welcome back. And the latest in the Waqf land row. Now, a controversy has sparked tensions in Vijaypura in Karnataka, where the farmers there are alleging encroachment. In fact, they allege that they have been issued several notices in the last 1 month itself, and they are being coerced and pressured to register their land in the name of the Waqf board. Now, farmers from Vijaypura and Karnataka allege that multiple notices are being issued by the tehsildars, in fact, in the district to register their farmland, and Tehsildar in Kolar and Devar Hipagri are issuing these notices based on district collectorate instructions during a video conference in September. And therefore, they're up in arms. They are crying conspiracy, and they're also claiming that they are going to break out in a protest if they're going to be pressurized like this to register their lands, ancestral lands, in the name of the Waqf board.
ಇದು ನೋಡಿ ಸರ, ಇದು ನಮ್ಮ ಪೂರ್ವಜರಿಂದ ಆಸ್ತಿ ಇದು ಸುಮಾರು 100 ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಉಳಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತ ಬಂದರಿ. ಅದೇನಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಸರ ಅದು ಒಮ್ಮಿಂದೊಮ್ಮೆ ದಿಢೀರ್ನ ನಮ್ದು ಅದೇನಿತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ 15 ಎಕರೆ 17 ಗುಂಟೆ ಹೊಲ ರೀ. ಬಿಜಾಪುರ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆ ಕೋಲಾರ ತಾಲೂಕಿನ ಹಳದಗಿನ್ನೂರು ನಮ್ಮದು ಊರು ರೀ. ಅದು ಒಮ್ಮಿಂದೊಮ್ಮೆ ಜಮೀರ ಅವರು ಬಂದು ಹೋದ್ಗಳೇ ಒಮ್ಮಿಂದೊಮ್ಮೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾರೆ ತಹಸೀಲ್ದಾರು. ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಕೊಡೋಣ ಏನಂತ ಇದನ್ನ ಒಟ್ಟು ವಕ್ಕ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಂದಣಿ ಮಾಡೋಕೆ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ತೇಳಿ ಸರ ನಮಗೆ ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ತಹಸೀಲ್ದಾರ್ ಬಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಕೋಲಾರಕ್ಕೆ. ಹೋಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಮಾಡೋಣ ಸರ್, ಅವರು ಡೇಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಈಗ ಮಾನ್ಯ 23ಕ್ಕೆ ಡೇಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಅವ್ರು ರೆಸಮೆಗಿರೋಣ ಮುಂದೆ ಡೇಟ್ ಮತ್ತು 6ಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ಯಾರೆ. 6ಕ್ಕೆ ಬಾ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾನ್ಯ ಯತ್ನಾಳ್ ಗೌಡರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಮನವಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೈತಿ ಸರ್, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಬರೋಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮದು ಸುಮಾರು 1940 ನಮ್ಮದು ಉಳುಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತ ನಮ್ಮ ಪೂರ್ವಜರಿಂದ ನಮ್ದು ಐತ್ರಿ. ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಮುತ್ತನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ಪರಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ಪರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲೇ ಬಂತು. ಅಲ್ಲಿದ ನಮ್ಮ ದಾಖಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ರೀ, ವಕಫ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ ರೀ. ಈಗ ಒಮ್ಮಿನೊಮ್ಮೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಯಾರ.
ಈ ಥರ ಅಂದರೆ ಸರ ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ನಾವು ವಿಜಯಪುರ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆ ಕೋಲಾರ ತಾಲೂಕಿನ ಹಳದಗಿನ್ನೂರು ಗ್ರಾಮದವ್ರಿ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನಮ್ಮೂರಾಗ ರೀ. ಇವಾಗ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇನದ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರೀ 15 ಎಕರೆ 17 ಗುಂಟೆ ಹೋಗ್ಯದಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾರಿ. ಇವರು ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ತಹಸೀಲ್ದಾರ್ ಸಾಹೇಬ್ರಿ ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ಯಾರಲ್ರಿ. ಅದ್ರಾಗ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಇದರಿಂದ ಬಂದದಂತೇಳಿ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ ರೀ. ಓನ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೈಯರ್ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಅಥಾರಿಟಿಯಿಂದ ಏನು ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ತಂದಾರಲ್ರಿ, ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕ್ ನಾವು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಕತ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದರೆ ನಾವು ಹಳೆಯದ್ರಿ ಇವಾಗ 1930ಇಂದ ತೆಗ್ಸೇವ್ರಿ. 1913 ಮತ್ತು ಕೈ ಬರ ಉತಾರಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಬರ್ತಾವ್ರಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ವಕ್ಫ್ ಬೋರ್ಡಿನ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮತ್ತು ಯಾವುದೇ ಥರಂತೂ ಲಿಖಿತ ದಾಖಲೆನೂ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರೂ ವಕ್ಫ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ದವರು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇದನ್ನು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳಕತ್ತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಇದೇ ಥರನೇ ನಮ್ಮೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಷ್ಟು ಆಯ್ತು ರೀ, 15 ಎಕರೆ ಆಯ್ತು ರೀ. ಇನ್ನು ಪಕ್ಕದೂರಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 10 ಎಕರೆ 20 ಎಕರೆ 30 ಎಕರೆ ಇದೇ ಥರನೇ ಒಂದೊಂದು ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಆಗಿದೆ ರೀ. ಕೋಲಾರದವ್ರದ್ದು ಒಬ್ರದ್ದು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರದ್ದು ಈರಪ್ಪ ಗಣಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ ರೀ. ಇವರು ಪರಶುರಾಮ್ ಬೆಳ್ಳುಬಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಇವ್ರದ್ದೊಂದು ಅದ ರೀ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ 3 ಎಕರೆ ಇರೋದೇ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅವ್ರ ಭೂಮಿ ರೀ. ಅವ್ರು ಇದನ್ನು ವಕ್ಫ್ ಬೋರ್ಡಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ ತಿನ್ನೋದೇನು ರೀ? ಅದು ಬೇಕಲ್ರಿ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ. ಈ ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕಾದರೂ ತಿಳಿಬೇಕ್ರಿ. ಇಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಈ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಇವಾಗ ರೈತರು ಬೆಳೆದ ಅನ್ನನ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ತಿನ್ಬೇಕ್ರಿ. ಅವ್ರು ಬೆಳೆದನ್ನ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಏನು ತಿಂತಾರೆ ಹೇಳ್ರಿ ಹೊಟ್ಟಿಗೆ?
Wherein the Congress governments in both 1995 and 2013 gave unbridled powers to the Waqf board to not only determine any land upon a summary inquiry to conclude with that a particular land is its own, and also giving it powers of removal of encroachment under section 54. After such a decision is arrived to remove the encroachment, the Waqf board also has been given powers of removal of encroachment. I want to request all farmers of Karnataka, if Waqf board is making such baseless claims about your land, my office is open to you 24/7. Please come with your documents. I will fight for you both inside of the court and outside of the court.
Okay, let me get in Harish now. Harish, the farmers in Vijaypura are levelling very serious allegations against the Waqf board. Now, when did they receive these notices, and what are these tehsildars asking them to do?
Well, these notices have been issued in the first week of this month, and they've been asked to come back to the tehsildar office with proper documents to establish their claim or establish their ownership of this land. They've also been in a way warned, saying that if they fail to do so, an ex parte order which will ensure that this land is registered in the name of the Waqf board will be passed immediately. They haven't been given much time. In fact, some of these notices were served somewhere around the second week of this month, and they were asked to appear before the Tehsildar on the 23rd of this month. So that's how quickly this process is moving. The question here is the timing and the chronology of this entire event. 26th, there is a video conference. The DC of Vijaypur district holds this video conference, tells the Tehsildars in various taluks to ensure that these Waqf board claimed lands are registered and notices are issued. Within a week or so, these notices are issued, which is unheard of in the way the Karnataka government and some of the revenue officials work. That happens, and then now the farmers are worried that arbitrarily some of these ownership might be changed if they fail to go ahead before the Tehsildar and put up a strong argument. They're also saying that they have enough documents to prove that since 1930s and much after that as well, they've continuously not just owned this land but also cultivated this land. In case of Mr. Parshuram, whose sound clip we heard just a while ago, he's saying that till last year there was absolutely no dispute. The land has changed 3 generations and the RTC too has changed.
Absolutely, Harish. Now, amid this growing tension, they have warned of large-scale protests if their grievances are not heard. Now, how damaging would that be for the Siddaramaiah government, who is already embattled and is fighting the Muda scam allegation against him?
Well, it puts the Congress party and the Congress government in a spot of bother, because remember, the allegation right now is that somewhere to the tune of around 15,000 acres is being claimed by the Waqf board just in Vijaypur district alone. And many of them approached M.B. Patil, the industries minister, who's also from the same district. He, in fact, went against his own ministerial colleague's stance of Mr. Zamir Ahmad Khan, and he said he will back the farmers and he would have another round of meeting in the district. There was nothing to worry, because he understands that this could snowball into a huge controversy and backfire for the Congress party. Remember, these are lands that have been cultivated and possession held for a number of decades now. For suddenly for the Waqf board to come up and claim ownership, many are wondering if it serves any purpose even for the Congress party, because there are no individuals here or communities here claiming that this land belongs to them. It's the Waqf board which is claiming it belongs to them.
Right, so tempers rising clearly, with the farmers now alleging encroachment of their land. More trouble for Siddaramaiah's government in Karnataka. Harish, thanks so much for joining us and getting us the latest. We're also getting in some breaking news about panic erupting at a Chennai school. This happened due to a suspected gas leak. Students have been evacuated. That's what we are getting to hear. It happened at a time when there was a sudden gas leak that caused absolute chaos at a private school in Chennai's Thiruvottiur area. The students had to be urgently evacuated. We are also getting to hear that the students are now being given treatment, but we are awaiting for more details about this gas leak that had led to absolute chaos in the area. And these are the visuals that you're getting in right now. 3 girls, in fact, have been hospitalized. They're being rushed, in fact, from the school premises after the gas leak happened. We're still waiting for more details as to what really had led to the gas leak, what exactly happened. But there you see young children, in fact, now being rushed to the hospital for being given emergency medical treatment. And there you see, just take a look at the situation. They're quite disturbing and alarming, with all of these students now being given first aid and also being rushed to the hospital as well. This happened at a Chennai school and the panic occurred due to a suspected gas leak. Purnima is joining us now. Purnima, over to you. We're getting to see all these visuals of how these children are being rushed to the hospital. They're being given treatment also. First of all, tell us what is the condition of these students and what exactly happened?
Well, three students who were hospitalized in the afternoon. The hospital sources say that their condition remains stable, and the source of gas leak that is yet to be ascertained. Remember, it was around afternoon when some of the students started complaining of breathlessness, dizziness, nausea, and that is when they were rushed to the nearby hospital. And this is a place called Thiruvottiur in North Chennai. And they were rushed immediately after they started complaining. They were rushed to government hospital. And initially, prima facie, they suspected it to be a case of gas leak, because of which students had complained of dizziness, nausea, so on and so forth. But that is yet to be ascertained. This happened in the afternoon. Currently, hospital sources say that the girls who were admitted to hospital, their condition stable. That's the word coming in.
Okay. Right, Purnima, thank you so much for joining us and telling us more about this incident that has taken place in Chennai. Moving on now, in a shocking escalation of violence, there has been yet another terror attack in which 2 army personnel and 2 porters have been killed. In fact, the incident took place in Gulmarg, and this is coming just days after construction workers were attacked. 6 of them who were killed along with the doctor in Ganderbal. So this is the latest in the series of attacks that have been happening in Kashmir. Investigations are presently underway as well. The incident comes following the incident that took place in Ganderbal as well. In response, a large-scale search operation is presently underway in the nearby forest to track down the terrorists. The NIA team is also likely to visit Gulmarg following the terror attack.
भैया इस रियासत में ये होते रहे, आप जानते हैं ये कहां से आते हैं और वो तब तक बंद नहीं होगा जब तक कोई रास्ता नहीं ढूंढा जाए इस मुसीबत से निकलने का। मैंने ये आज 30 साल से देख रहा हूं और बेगुनाह मारे जाते हैं और हम पाकिस्तान का हिस्सा बनने वाले नहीं हैं। तो ये कर किस लिए रहे हैं? हमारे मुस्तकबिल को ख़राब करने के लिए, बर्बाद करने के लिए, हमारी गरीबी को और गरीब बनाने के लिए। इसके बजाय कि वो अपने वतन को देखें, अपने वतन की बहबूदी को देखें, उसको बेहतर बनाएं। वो खुद बर्बाद हो रहे हैं, हमें भी साथ बर्बाद कर रहे हैं। मैं इनसे फिर से आपके मध्य से अपील करता हूँ, ये बंद करिए।
बड़ी दुखद घटना है और कायरतापूर्ण कृत्य है। तो ये समझना चाहिए कि पाकिस्तान प्रायोजित आतंकवाद आज भी कहीं ना कहीं उनकी जड़ें कश्मीर में हैं और हालांकि सरकार ने और सुरक्षा बलों ने ज़ीरो टॉलरेंस की नीति को लेकर के बहुत काम किया है, लेकिन जब इस प्रकार की घटना होती है तो चिंता होना स्वाभाविक बात है। लेकिन ये समझना होगा कि संदिग्ध जहाँ भी पाए जाएं वहाँ पर लोगों को भी थोड़ा एक्टिव रहना होगा, क्योंकि पहले भी ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर्स, अंडरग्राउंड वर्कर्स पर बड़ा एक्शन हुआ है।
Well, the spate of terror attacks that have been happening in the last few days in Kashmir indeed is worrying, with investigations presently underway. And with that, it's time for us to take a short break. Stay tuned. I'll be right back with lots more. Welcome back. Now, Diwali is almost here, so the most responsible thing for each one of us is to choose wisely when we are buying a gift for our loved ones, keeping the environment and also our earth in mind. Well, it's all about making those smart choices, because when you buy a gift, it truly reflects your love, not just for your loved ones, but even for our planet. Now, the sustainable market has been growing exponentially, and therefore it becomes even more important and our responsibility to ensure that things are done smartly, wisely, while we spread love all across, not just for our family, but even for our planet as well. Take a look at this very special report on making smart and sustainable choices this Diwali season.
Okay, Apurv, let's take those learnings. Let's go over now to the Burlap people. We'll go over to Samrid. And it's interesting, let me tell our viewers, you both have actually worked together in the sense that you've collaborated before on gift hampers, for example, for Diwali. Samrid, just tell us, take us behind the scenes. For a company, when it receives a corporate order around Diwali time, what does that actually look like? So do corporations come sit down with you, tell us, do they tell you, prove that you're sustainable? Are you already proved to be sustainable? What does that process look like? Do you develop gift ideas? How do you come out, immediately with 500 or 1,000 different bags? What does that look like behind the scenes?
Thank you for having me, first of all. So it's kind of changing, over the years. Corporates are becoming more aware, and they ask us a lot more questions about the kind of products we make and how or what makes it sustainable. But that is something that's come up recently, which was normally just a trend, and corporates were just trying to, jump on that bandwagon to get a sustainable gifting to have with their image. Now they are, trying to align it with their larger CSR goals and make sustainability a part of their internal and external value systems. So they do ask us questions about how or what makes products sustainable. But the challenge becomes that a lot of times this happens very close to the time that they need it. And for a brand like us that works with sustainability, that works with handcrafted products, creating products on a very quick timeline becomes very challenging because everything is handmade. So this is something that is very difficult to explain to corporates, also because, there's so much decision making. It has to go through like different levels. So that becomes a real challenge. So festive time, it becomes super hectic for us to trying to meet the demand of the individual consumers and cater to corporate gifting needs. So yeah, that becomes a big challenge.
These days, when you look at gifts, we've also, like there's greenwashing for brands, gifts also now, it looks like they've learned how to pretend as if things are eco-conscious. So what I mean is, you'll have a wooden box that the gift has come in. There'll be other things like that, a lot of brown color used in the packaging, brown paper used in the packaging to hint at the idea that a brand is environmentally conscious. Other things that we can be looking at as customers?
So I think Apurva is spot on. Your certifications is one big thing, but the challenge becomes not all brands have the financial bandwidth to invest in these certifications because it's time-taking and it does require a lot of resources. What we do is provide transparency through communication. So we are completely transparent about the process that is used to manufacture what we make, where we source it from, the people who make it, and all of that. So that communication is constant. But yes, it is a major challenge, and there is a lot of greenwashing. For us, our biggest competitors are not always sustainable brands because those brands are actually part of a community. It is brands that claim to be sustainable, but really not. And it is very challenging for a consumer to really figure out, whether something is genuinely sustainable or not.
Okay, from sustainability, the world of sustainability, to the world of sports. Now, star javelin thrower Sumit Antil, who emerged as a beacon of hope and is now an inspiration to just so many athletes, is preparing for the big games ahead after his great performance at the Paralympics, at the Paris Games. Now he's training very hard for the upcoming games and the tournaments, and on expected lines, also striving for excellence. Let's take a look at this report.
सबसे पहले तो बहुत बहुत बधाई कि आपने अपना टोक्यो का गोल्ड मेडल पेरिस में डिफेंड किया, और इसी के साथ बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया कि आपने हम सभी देशवासियों का नाम रोशन किया।
थैंक यू सो मच भाई। और देखिए, आई थिंक ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भी होती है कि हम एज अ डिफेंडिंग चैंपियन जा रहे हैं तो अपना 100% दें, और काफी अच्छा लगा टाइटल डिफेंड करके, वो भी एक न्यू पैरालंपिक रिकॉर्ड के साथ में। और काफी अच्छी फीलिंग है कि हाँ, हमने टाइटल डिफेंड कर लिया है, और ये एक मोटिवेशन के रूप में भी मिल रहा है कि आने वाले टूर्नामेंट्स हैं जो उसमें और अच्छा परफॉर्म करेंगे।
जी, तो सुमित देखिए, ओलंपिक में गोल्ड जीतना एक बात होती है, बट अपने गोल्ड को डिफेंड करना, दैट्स कंप्लीटली आउटस्टैंडिंग, राइट? आपने वो किया, उसके बाद आप देश वापस आए, तो अब ये कहना गलत भी नहीं रहेगा कि पिछले 20-25 दिन आपके लिए बहुत हेक्टिक रहे होंगे, क्योंकि आपने देश का नाम तो पेरिस में रोशन किया, बट अब जब वो देशवासियों का प्यार आपको मिल रहा है तो वो भी एक बड़ी अच्छी फीलिंग होती है। तो मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहूंगा कि पिछले 20-25 दिन आपके लिए कैसे रहे हैं?
बिल्कुल भाई, सबसे पहले तो पेरिस का मैं बताऊं कि पेरिस में जब हमने टाइटल डिफेंड किया तो वहां पे पीएम सर से बात हुई, और जितने भी लोग वहां पे आए हुए थे सभी ने इतना अच्छा सपोर्ट किया ड्यूरिंग द कंपटीशन। और यहाँ पे आने के बाद में जब लोगों ने इतना मान सम्मान दिया, इतना प्यार दिया, और कहीं ना कहीं उनको उम्मीदें थी मेरे से कि हाँ, मैं टाइटल डिफेंड कर लूंगा, क्योंकि जिस तरह से मैं आर्टिकल्स पढ़ रहा था कि मोस्ट फेवरेट एथलीट्स जो अपने टाइटल को डिफेंड कर सकते हैं, उनमें मेरा भी नाम था। तो काफी अच्छा लगता है कि जब लोग आपसे एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं, और जिस तरह से मेडल लेके आने के बाद में मान सम्मान मिलता है, और मतलब बहुत कम टाइम मिला है मेरे को फैमिली के साथ में, अभी तक इवेंट्स ही चल रहे हैं, और काफी खुशनसीब है हम कि जिस मुकाम पे हम पहुंचना चाहते थे आज हैं उस मुकाम पे, और फ्यूचर जनरेशन को मोटिवेट कर रहे हैं। और बाकी मैं थैंक यू ही बोल सकता हूँ जितने भी लोग मान सम्मान दे रहे हैं पूरे देश का, और बस यही बोलूंगा कि कोशिश करेंगे कि आगे भी ऐसे ही उनको प्राउड फील करवाएं और देश को गोल्ड मेडल दिलाएं।
नहीं, बिल्कुल, हम भी ये उम्मीद करेंगे कि हमारा और पूरे देश का सपोर्ट जो है आपके लिए बना रहे। और ये भी कहना चाहूंगा कि जब आप अगले ओलंपिक में जाएंगे, अभी हम 125 करोड़ की जनसंख्या है, तब तक ये और बढ़ेगी, तो आप बेफिक्र रहिए, ये सपोर्ट भी और बढ़ने वाला है।
Onto the
Good evening. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Poonam Burde. The Waqf Amendment Bill is being deliberated upon by 31 members of a joint parliamentary committee. Now, while those meetings have seen their fair share of drama and controversies, there are instances that are now cropping up which point to exactly why such a law is needed. Farmers in Vijaypura district of Karnataka have submitted a memorandum to District in Charge Minister M.B. Patil alleging a conspiracy by the Waqf board to usurp their land.